If you've decided an author blog is right for you, it's time to think about what topics you might want to blog about. If you haven't made that all-important decision yet, check out my previous video, Should You Blog as an Author? Today I want to share what to write about in your author blog. Blogging as an author is different than blogging in general because you are cultivating readers for your books, not necessarily trying to grow a ginormous blog following. That means you need to choose a blogging schedule that works for you as an author and that is going to align with your other writing and publications so your readers will cross over. This is Ignited Ink Writing, a channel dedicated to helping authors like you transform your writing so it lingers with your readers. Because writing that lingers gets remembered and recommended to others. I'm Caitlin Burvey, editor and writer. Let's start with topics authors can blog about. If you want to blog as an author, remember your audience is the readers of your books, so your blog topics should be related to your books. Don't blog about your life as a stay-at-home mom if you write erotica. Also, don't blog about your thoughts on children's literature if you write hardcore war memoirs. Those blog readers and book readers are not the same people. So you want to make sure that both readers are the same. So what can you blog about? If you write nonfiction, you should blog about your area of expertise that you write about. You can literally blog your book, or you can blog about topics related to your book. You can test out ideas on your blog. In some way, you want to use that blog to mark you as an expert in your field. This will increase your credibility and ensure people pick your book instead of someone else's book on the same subject. You can also put topics in your blog that didn't make it into your book but are somehow related, or share client success stories, people who might have taken your book and used it to grow or change their lives or learn whatever the thing is that you are trying to teach them. Now, if you're writing fiction, this is probably not going to work. What fiction readers love and are fascinated by are where authors get their ideas. So that's a great thing to blog about. You can share what inspired your characters, your plot, your setting, anything related to your book. A blog is also a great place for deleted scenes or pieces that didn't quite make it into your book but readers might still find interesting. You can do your character sketches there or something along those lines. In my author blog, I share what inspired my fairy tales, how I took the original and twisted it into something that could happen in modern day. In a recent blog, I talked about how my short story, Voices of Sacrifice, was inspired by Bluebeard, and how Bluebeard, the original fairy tale, was actually a secret message. So that's something that a reader might be interested in. You can also take a different approach. If you're writing fiction, you can blog nonfiction. William Liggett does this really well for his novel Watermelon Snow. This is a cli-fi novel. It's fiction. But he blogs about climate change discoveries, data, and news reports, because these are related to his book. That means you can blog your research. You can share interesting tidbits that you found with your readers that way. Liggett's blog leans more towards the scientific side of climate change and not so much the political side. This is good because that's what his books do. So you want your tone and your subject matter on your blog to align with your tone and subject matter in your books. That way you ensure that your readers will cross over. Other things you can blog about are a little bit about you. Readers love to know things about their favorite authors. They want to connect with you on a deeper level because you created some of their favorite things in the world. How personal you get is up to you, and I would definitely balance out the personal with blogs that are more related to your book. You can also blog quizzes. I have quizzes on my author blog. One is, what magical creature are you? I write fantasy. My readers love that. You can do quizzes as a nonfiction author too. You can blog your speaking engagements, your schedule to let readers know where you'll be and when. You can share photos or illustrations that go along with your book, anything that you think readers might be interested in. Then, you want to use your blog as your email to keep in touch with your email list, to let them know what you've been up to and when they can expect the next book. Regardless of what you choose to write about in your blog, remember your end goal is readers for your books. It's not growing a ginormous blog following that is unrelated to your books. So now that we've covered some topics, let's talk about time and length, blogging basics for authors. Before you start blogging or creating a posting schedule, take a moment to think about how much time you have to blog each week or month. It does take time, it is a commitment, and a consistent blog is way more successful than an inconsistent one. Don't worry, you can schedule out your posts, so if you have a week where you're inspired and write multiple, you can schedule them to go out over time instead of posting them all at once. However, if you are erratic about your posting, it makes your website look abandoned. If a reader sees that you were blogging every month consistently for 6 months, and now you haven't been there for 3, they think your website's old, that you're no longer maintaining it. So in that case, no blog is better than an inconsistent blog. So how much time can you realistically devote to your blog each week? Now, think about how quickly you write. I write about 1,200 words an hour. That means it takes me roughly 2 hours to create a blog post and upload it. That means drafting it, quickly revising it, creating the pictures that go along with it, and uploading and scheduling it. Everything involved roughly 2 hours. When I first started, it took a lot longer because I was still learning how to do those things. My blog posts are around 1,000 to 1,500 words because they're informative. My author blogs are much shorter, so they take way less time. If you want to write information blogs, like I do on Ignite Your Ink, you're shooting for roughly 1,000 to 3,000 words per blog post because that's enough space for you to really dive deep into that topic. If you're writing more entertainment blogs or did you know type of a blog, you can get away with something more like 500 to 800 words. It is okay to have the occasional blog that's shorter or longer than your usual, but you do want to have an average word count that you're shooting for. Now that you know how many words you have and how much time you have to devote to blogging, it's time to figure out how often you can blog. If you cannot give 2 hours a week, you probably don't have the time to create a well thought out and pleasing, informative blog post every week. Maybe you need to do it bi-monthly or monthly. If you have lots of time to blog, you should probably spend some of that on your writing. Remember, you are an author, not a blogger. In general, you'll hear bloggers should release at least 1 post a week. Now, those are people who want to be bloggers. You are not a blogger. Again, you are an author. So posting once a month is fine as an author. Just be consistent about it. So now that you have a rough idea of some topics and your publication schedule, I want to share how to theme and batch your blog posts. Once you start blogging consistently, you learn real quick that batching your blog posts, figuring out your next 4 to 6, will save you a lot of stress. Some weeks or months you'll be too creatively drained to come up with new ideas for your blog, so it's helpful to have those already figured out. Every other month or so, I take an hour to sit down and plan out my next blog posts. I like to do this by theme. So I'll pick something like setting, and then I will list all the different aspects of setting I might want to blog about, like mood and tone, how to describe it, the climate, the fact that society is a part of setting, all of those things. Then I will very quickly sketch out my ideas for each post on scratch paper. This is a super simple outline. So if I take describing setting, I'll write down using the 5 senses, breaking it up and not getting too wordy, only describing the parts that matter to the story, that type of a thing. So when I theme and batch my posts like that, it saves me a lot of time and headache later on. Now think about the same thing for your blog. What large topics might you be able to use as a theme? How many posts can you get out of them? What can you sketch out real quick that you can write about? Then just store those in a notebook or by your computer so you can pull them out when it's time to write that blog post. That way you're not constantly having to think of new ideas for your blog. If you're blogging nonfiction, your topics might be similar to mine, where you think of one aspect of your area of expertise that you can write multiple blogs about. If you're blogging fiction, you might try and come up with a different type of posting schedule, where you post something about your previous book in one blog. Maybe you talk about your next book in another blog, and then you share some personal tidbits in a third blog, and you alternate between those. Or maybe in one post you talk about your research, and in the next post you talk about your inspiration, and you alternate that way. So it doesn't always have to be as theme-oriented as mine is, but still having some sort of a system is going to make it easier. Next, I want to share advice from an editor and blogger on author blogs. When blogging as an author, don't forget your end goal is more readers for your books. That means you are not blogging for yourself. You can be an author and also have a personal blog, but that personal blog is not your author blog. An author blog is for your readers. It should be used to maintain a relationship with them, to get more people on your email list so you have people to announce your next book launch to, and to help people discover your writing. That means that each post should in some way be related to your writing, and where appropriate, you should link to your book or mention it or do something like that. Now, I wouldn't recommend doing this in every post, otherwise they start to feel like solely promotional posts, but do it where it fits. That means every blog post needs to have a place people can sign up for your email list. Likely, you will have to trade something for that email, whether it's a short story, a scene from your book that you cut, character sketches, something like that. Also, remember that blog writing is not the same thing as book writing. A blog has a more casual tone. It's meant to be digested quickly, so you should use shorter sentences and paragraphs. Whereas a book is a little bit more formal. You can get away with longer sentences, and it's meant to be taken in over a longer period of time. So they're different styles of writing. My final piece of advice on author blogs that I want to drive home is to remember that you are a writer, not a blogger. Don't let your blog get in the way of your book. If you have to pick between finishing your chapter and being a few days late on your blog post, finish your chapter. That should be your priority. I'm a little bit of a hypocrite. I'm not the best at doing that, but I'm working on it and I'm trying to get better at it. How are you approaching your author blog? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And for more videos on marketing, blogging, and writing, subscribe to Ignited Ink Writing, a channel dedicated to helping authors like you transform your writing so it lingers with your readers. Because writing that lingers gets remembered and recommended to others. I'm Caitlin Burvey, editor and writer. To find out more about me, go to www.ignitedinkwriting.com. There you will find my editor blog filled with writing advice called Ignite Your Ink, and a free timeline of a book that will help you figure out where you are in the writing and publishing process so you know what step to take next. Also, if you want to see how I'm approaching an author blog, you can find that at caitlinburvey.com. And now it's your turn to pick topics related to your writing for your blog, to think about your time and blog post length, and to batch and theme your posts to ignite your ink.